All right, guys. Injuries from the game. Jacob Cowing had shoulder. He's day-to-day. Jordan Elliott with his knee. He's day-to-day. Kittle, ribs, day-to-day. Chris Conley, oblique, day-to-day. Juice, shoulder, day-to-day. Fred Warner, ankle, day-to-day. And that's it from the game. Go ahead.
Kyle, there was a report today that Christian has Achilles tendonitis in both legs. Is that correct? And is that a new development?
No, during the time he's had it in both. I think it started in one. You get it overcompensated, went to the other, but mainly one of them has just been bothering, but he's had it in both.
Kyle, what is the plan to open? Is the plan to open the window on Ricky Pearsall this week?
We haven't decided yet. We're continue to think about here today and tomorrow, but no, we haven't decided that yet.
Kyle, have you had a chance to talk to Christian about the treatment and if he's feeling any better at all?
No, I haven't.
Kyle, given what Jordan Mason's done for your run game this year, only Derrick Henry has more rushing yards at this point, and you've had other guys come into your system and just thrive in that run game. And I know your dad had that obviously in Denver with Alex Gibbs and elsewhere. What did you learn from your dad as far as creating a run game where so many different kinds of backs could thrive, and how have you forwarded that?
I think really just growing up and watching it and just realizing the importance of it mainly, just the commitment to it as a team, not just dabbling in it, just truly growing up watching how important it was. And so when I started football, I always believed it was one of the most important things, so I've always just looked at football that way. And I don't think there's much of a secret to it. First time I coached with him was in Washington. I remember always asking him, what's the secret? You're not telling me. And then he would just laugh at me and go, the secret, there is no secret. You just get what you emphasize and you work hard at it and you hold everyone accountable. And that's really what we do. And you try to get the right runners in here. It's not like every back can do this stuff. By no means. You got to have the right backs, and we've been fortunate to have some good ones.
As far as Jordan, with his ability to transfer to your outside zone run game, which is pretty prominent in what you do, what are his specific attributes?
How hard he runs. That he almost always gets more than it's blocked for. He usually goes to the right hole and hits it right, and he runs violently and doesn't slow down, and runs very similar to how he did in college. He's a very efficient, hard-running back.
Kyle, can we assume that since Warner is day-to-day, that scans and the like came back with good news?
Yeah, that anything that says day-to-day, just when you don't know that the night before, I mean, we definitely feel better when it says day-to-day. If it's a high ankle sprain or anything like that, that's always some time. So, I know he's hurting today and stuff, but just from the reports and everything, when we say day-to-day, that gives him a chance to heal up this week.
Kyle, when you said Friday, you'd mentioned having a third down back like Christian was as easy as football as in 20 years for you. What do you mean, I guess, specifically by that? Does that mean game planning, in-game play calling, everything? And is it truly easy, or is it just not as hard?
Not as hard. Man, you look at my words too hard. I was just trying to answer your guys' question and let you know, like, when you have a special third down back or when you have such a special player out of the backfield, how it's very hard for safeties and linebackers to really cover someone out of the backfield truly one-on-one who's that good. And so when they do it, it forces two players to guard them. Just how much easier it makes things a game plan. Very similar to when I was with Julio Jones in Atlanta. No matter what, you knew when they were in man coverage, you knew where that middle third safety was cheating because he had to. And whenever he did that, I think back to the 2016 offense we had in Atlanta and just how good everyone else did, because how good their looks would always be, because if they weren't that way, there was just a different dude at wideout on the other side. And It's very similar with Christian in a totally different way because he's not an outside wide receiver. But when you can get a running back that way in the pass game that people can't guard on their own, it is a very good security blanket for the quarterback and play caller, and it's also very good looks for everybody else.
Kyle, how did Malik Mustafa do now that you've had a chance to look at the film? And Bernardo Green had 23 snaps, which was the most he's had. Is his role going to be ascending as well?
Yeah, I think Malik did real well. You know, he missed that first third down tackle. It's the only play I feel like he'd like to have back. After that, he made a number of good plays. I know he dropped that pick, which I know he'd love to have that back out too, but thought he was one of the main reasons Fred scored on his interception return. Just how he came out of the middle of the field and led that block on their offensive lineman. He was flying around, got to the quarterback, him and Bosa together on I think it was a 2nd and 10 where he had a really good play. But I was real happy with how he played, and it was nice to get Renardo in there. We plan on getting him in some, just like we had some other guys, and I think we put him in for the first time in the second half, and there's nothing against Ike. Ike had a hell of a first half. We just planned on doing it on the third series, and the way it was going, we just waited a little bit, gave him the shot in the third quarter, and he was doing good, and we just rolled with him.
Kyle, now that you've had a chance to look at the tape, what is the takeaway from Evan Anderson's performance yesterday?
I thought he did real well. You know, it was, he tried to compete to get up all week and earn that spot to get up, and then I thought he rose to the occasion. It was nice getting to having very active hands, got that ball up and knocked it out of Jacoby on one play. Thought he had a hell of a rush on the 63-yard field goal they hit. Usually when you get a rush like he did on that, you block that kick. But Sly, even from 63 yards away, he got up too high. So that was a hell of a kick. But for his first game, I thought he did a real good job.
Kyle, you had 7 rookies on the field yesterday. Are you pretty impressed with the maturity level of this group and how they've been already able to contribute?
I am. We kind of noticed that with them right in OTAs. Just as a group, as a whole, they seemed like a very mature group. We didn't have to teach too many of them how to, act like pros, as we say. They came in, they knew how to walk through. They worked very hard. The effort was always there. Those guys work hard in the classroom. They study very well, and you never know when their opportunity is going to come. But we've had some injuries and stuff, and those guys have been thrown into some stuff fast. Even going to guys like Jalen Mahoney, him not really finding out till Saturday that he had a chance to play, and which doesn't allow you to go back and prepare any way differently. And he had already been preparing like he was going to play, even though it seemed like a long shot. And he was able to step up and help out on special teams. So I've been impressed with that whole group. They've acted like they're wiser beyond their years in how they've acted.
Well, it seems like the last been a lot of places where Brock has had some time to throw, and the ball hasn't come out quickly, and he ends up kind of scrambling around a little bit. Well, why is it that has seemed to kind of crop up here in the last 2 weeks in particular?
Sorry, I missed something. You went out. What was the first part of it?
The first part was just the last 2 weeks where there looks like Brock has time to throw on rhythm, but he for whatever reason, guys not being open or whatever, he doesn't unleash it and then scrambles around. What's happened more in the last 2 weeks where we've seen more of that than previously?
Not a lot different. I think I answered that last week we had a lot of 3-man rushes, I felt, versus more than usual versus Minnesota and the Rams especially. But that's, people played soft Tampa too. And he got a couple times in the game. One time he checked it down to Kittle for an 11-yard gain. Other times they had a 5 technique in that didn't allow Kittle to get out on a check down. And so when the guy stuck under everybody, he just broke out of the pocket and tries to buy time for the zone to break down. And if they don't, he just scrambles for yards. But just the typical reasons, zoning coverages, people deep under your eligibles. And Brock's got a knack on when to check it down and when to escape the pocket and make some plays. Sometimes he does it on his own. Sometimes a D lineman flashes color, and so he doesn't wait on something and makes a play and gets out of there a little faster than usual. But there's not any one particular answer.
When you guys do open the practice window for Ricky, Will he need a longer ramp up, just considering how much time he'd already missed in training camp?
We'll see when he gets back to practice, and we'll judge by that. But yeah, I really don't make any judgments till I see guys go through the practice week. So I get excited when guys come off IR, whenever they do, just to get them back into practice. And that's really the first time you see them do any football stuff, and you kind of make that decision as the week goes.
Kyle, what can you say about your defensive line, especially guys like Sam Okwanu and Kevin Givens, who kind of paid their dues, maybe on the practice squad or behind, and how they showed up on Sunday?
Oh, it's huge. I thought the defense as a whole, and especially the D line, really rose to the occasion for that game. Just with what's happened the last 2 weeks, and losing Javon last week, their backs are a little bit against the wall, and Jordan Elliott going out in that game, in the second quarter, that made it real tough too. And he played real well when he was in, but then losing him made us down in numbers, and guys stepped it up. Sam O, who got his opportunity, he got it, I think, for the first time 2 weeks ago, but he's been a beast in practice, and to watch him carry it over to the games is kind of what I'd like to say we expected, because he's been such a pain in practice in a good way, just for our offense to deal with, and it was cool to see him do it to somebody else here on Sunday.
And how
Kyle,
close is back out there?
What's that?
How close is Kalia Davis from getting back out there?
He is close. There's a good chance we open his window this week, so I'd be surprised if it's not open for Wednesday's practice.
Kyle, is there anything or anyone that surprised you when you went back and watched last night's game that you didn't think, wow, I didn't see that because of this different vantage point, or you just going with a fine-tooth comb over the tape? Did anything or anyone stand out or surprise you from your team?
I didn't know all those plays Sam O made. I didn't know he was the one who caused that strip. I know he had that TFL, but I thought he did a real good job. All the interior guys, Malik had a good idea during the game, but even watching the film, I thought Malik Collins was a stud. No, that's about it. I was pretty impressed with the guys live, and nothing really changed when watching them.
All right, guys.
Kyle,
Go ahead, Brent. Last one.
All right, thanks. Kyle, the Cardinals obviously got blown out, similar to what happened to the Rams before they played you. And is it a similar message as far as, I don't know, generally doesn't happen 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, most likely. I'm trying so hard to finish up this day and get off this call so I can start and watch Arizona for the first time. But I have a feeling that's what we're going to see. Anytime, I've seen Arizona crossover tape, exactly what you said from the Rams. So I know the type of team they have and everything. We'll turn this on and find out what happened to them yesterday, but I don't care. Whatever team it is in the NFL, blowouts usually aren't that bad, and when it does happen, it rarely happens 2 weeks in a row. So I know we'll have a challenge this week.